So what makes for a good profile? Mario Sundar spoke to an earlier class. He is the evangelist, or one of the evangelists for LinkedIn, and he spent a lot of time working on his profile. So the first thing I want to tell you is that he has a photo. And, you know, maybe not in the age group of 40 and down, but in the age group of 40 and up, a lot of people don't. Do you know that Facebook is the #1 source for board seats? Right? I mean, for both public and
LinkedIn or Facebook?
Huh?
LinkedIn or Facebook?
Sorry, LinkedIn is what I meant to say. LinkedIn is the #1 source for board seats, right? Particularly in nonprofits. And so it's really important, if you've retired, that you have kind of current information on there, because people will search it. And in fact, we'll have to ask her when she gets back. I think that Carla is speaking in Mexico this week, training on social media. And I think it may have come from a LinkedIn connection, but it may have been Facebook. In any case, it's really important that you have it. So you've got a photo, and you have a little bit of background, and you give as many connections as you can. Now, again, if you're me, I don't want to give a lot of connections, you know? You don't need to know who I know, you don't need to know what companies I own, but in social media, in social networks, you really need it, because it gives you leverage. And if the more companies you put down, the more tags you have. If you've been in 5 companies, you're connected to the alumni of those 5 companies. If you've gone to 4 or 5 schools, so it's incumbent on you to put that kind of information up there. So you add connections. Let me see, that's not what I want to talk about. So you add a photo, you have your connections. He has a lot of connections. And that means, if he's smart, that he kind of stays in touch with his connections. And I think I told you that often somebody will change their title at a company. They don't send you a note, they don't announce that they got a raise, that they got a promotion, but they simply change the title. Do you know that once you're in LinkedIn, you're notified? So, somebody gets a raise, or a promotion, you see it in your LinkedIn file, you can write that person a note and say, Jane, George, terrific. I hear, what are you doing? I hear you just moved up in the world. What a wonderful way to maintain your network without having to work too hard at it.
So is that something you can turn off? I mean, what if you keep your updating your profile? I don't know.
No, that's a real limitation. They will know every time you make a change, that notification will go out. Yeah. And I want to tell you something else. If you have 15 changes and then the next day you have 15 more, people will say, Mary is looking for a job, So you got to be thoughtful about it. You don't want to do it all at once, and people do watch it, but it is to your advantage to keep it up to date. I rarely would turn someone down for a LinkedIn connection, but if somebody I didn't know called me to meet the president of so-and-so, I'm not going to help them just because they're in my network. On the other hand, I teach a lot of classes, and I hate to say no to anyone, So, but it just really depends. So my ties are both close ties and not. You can make your ties anything you wish. And the nice thing about LinkedIn is I don't think they notify you when you've been dropped. On Facebook, if you drop somebody as a connection, they will be notified. But there's something else you can do on Facebook. You can simply turn them off. If they are a little too chatty on your Facebook feed, and you're tired of seeing their 15 pages of whatever it is, just turn them off. They're not turned off as a friend. You just turn off you're looking at them. But if on LinkedIn, if you start making changes, anything, you change your photo, you change your spelling, that will go out instantly to everybody on your list, and you have no control over that.
Everything. Anything that you change.
Anything that you change goes out.
Wow.
So if and I don't even look at it, but every now and again I'll look at my feed and I'll say, oh.
I have to update my LinkedIn profile. I need to completely redo it.
Then do it once. Sit down on the side, do your drafts many times, and finally say, okay, good to go for the next 6 months. So anyway, you can publicize, but you want to do these things. And you do it once, and then come back in a year and do it again. But the other thing I want to tell you is they've just added something new. So first of all, there's something called references, which is not using on his site, at least on this part of it. He probably has 1 million. But, and that means you have to go to somebody who knows you and likes you, and it's going to take some time to write a reference on your behalf. And that's a very good thing, right? Particularly if you're looking for work, or maybe you want your clients on there. But LinkedIn has just introduced a new thing, which I think is really, really amazing. And I've only started to use it, but it's called Endorsements. So what happened was, without even me knowing it, I was trying to figure out how to use the endorsements, and I came across Mario's name, in this case related to social media measurement, but the reality is, could have been all of those things. And I simply checked it and went on to the next thing. That was my way of thanking Mario for coming to the class. He is knowledgeable about social media. And I wanted to give him a little recognition. And I immediately got a note from Mario that says, gee, I see you endorsed me. Isn't that nice? And I said, my pleasure, Mario. It was great to have you in the class. So for a little effort, I can give a little love, a little TLC to the people I think highly of, and they know about it. They're told about it. They're sent an email that, golly, this person thought so much of me, and they added me to the list. So these are, and not only that, this is his page. This is, everybody can see this. All of the people that gave endorsements to Mario for various things, and they take these things off of his resume, and then they pull them up as search engine terms.
Seems to me inevitable people will mean different things by likes or endorsements.
Absolutely.
And I guess the question is how to interpret that. If I'm looking at somebody's site and trying to interpret that information, it also raises the question about, do I do endorsements in any kind of volume?
Yes. And the answer is, I can't tell you the answer on that. I know for me, I'm treating endorsements as likes. If I think they're able in that area, I'm not going to lie about it. But I'm not trying to get just the one person who does the best of that. And so, let's say you go to his page, and you see that this person has endorsed this. So what you're going to do is you're going to send me an email. You're going to send him an email and say, so what did you really think? Was he good at this? I mean, I know you put it down, but what do you think? And if this is a friend of yours, they'll get back to you on it. So this can be very powerful. And I don't think that professionals use LinkedIn enough, because it isn't a lot of work. Once you put up your profile, it doesn't really expose you, but it really can give you some amazing benefits. I'm just trying to think of what else. So I don't know if I have an example here. Let's see what I have. So this is endorsements. I brought it out just so you could see it. So let's say I want to get in. I want to learn about a company. It doesn't matter what a nonprofit. So I punch in the nonprofit's name on LinkedIn in that thing up there, the little search space, and I see who works for Gather Your Crowd, or GatePath, for example, who's speaking tonight. And I find out that there are 50 people that have GatePath on their resume somewhere, and I know 3 of them. I'm going to be able very quickly to get to who I want at GatePath. Or in the case of GatePath, where I don't know the wonderful head of marketing, who'll be speaking in a minute, what I did was I went and saw, did she have a LinkedIn site? Yes. Facebook site? Yes. I used one of them to reach her and said, my name is Robin, you don't know me, but I think you do great social media. And would you consider coming into our class? So you can see that this is, you can find speakers, you can find board members, it's really a wonderful thing. And I think I have an example of it. Anyway, I wanted to give you some stats. These are recent stats, and you can see that it's big, but by comparison to Facebook's billion, it's pretty small. But it's an amazing collection of people who do, professional work.